I have carpal tunnel. Like
Okay.
that's about it. I have a love for Overwatch. I've been playing Overwatch since I was 12 when the game came out. Um, it's just I love Overwatch. I did Overwatch in high school. I'm doing Overwatch in college. And so it's like my life has been like revolved about around esports for a really long time.
Okay.
And like last year, like just over a year ago, I got like diagnosed with like some early carpal tunnel things, and so I have to like not play the game as much.
Okay.
As well as I'm going to college to be a teacher, and
Okay.
so I kind of that the enjoyment and love for teaching is kind of already there. And
Right.
so coaching was kind of to me the next logical step on, oh, I still want to play Overwatch. I still love the game. What do I do next? And
Okay.
so that's coaching. So that's kind of where I got started with that.
Okay. Okay. So what we're going to be looking at today is this going to be gameplay or coaching or what?
It's gameplay. I still play the game. I'm on a team. I'm competing in Face It, OWCS. I just don't play the game as much. I kind of I this was a gift to me from a friend, just because I don't have a coach. Like I work with some like top collegiate players and coaches, but like not like solid. And he's like, I'll just buy you Spy. I was like, what? So that's kind of why I'm
Nice.
here.
Okay. Okay. Sounds good. Sounds good. So at the time of the form, please let me know if any of this has changed. You said currently I feel fairly stuck in Overwatch. I'm a coach and a player, but recently been pushing into tier three, and the coach of the team I've been playing for has been struggling to have us work on things. My coach has asserted that I may be the worst player on the team, and I don't want to take that lying down. I have much more free time moving into the summer, and I'm struggling or hungry to improve.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean that team I was on kind of exploded. Um,
Mm-hmm.
different team now, no coach, but it's the same is probably true. Like
Okay.
the team I'm on has several players from the previous roster
Okay.
on it, and I think that it's probably still true. I mean, maybe
Okay.
it's like I think part of it's accounted to just like my level of playing the game. I just don't play it as much because my hands, but.
Okay. What are your goals? I know you in the forum you talk about OWCS, but that's something that literally anybody can compete in. So what's
Mhm.
the goal besides competing
Top
at
32.
that level? Top
So
32.
I got top 50
Okay.
last stage, and so I want top 32
Okay.
pretty bad.
Okay. Okay. And was that point in training with the same limitations of the carpal tunnel when you got
No,
top
it was
32?
just starting, and so I was still playing the game a lot.
Okay. So now you're dealing with more limitations. What was your old play schedule if you had one?
We did double blocks 6 days a week, so I was doing at least 12 hours of scrim time, or at least 12 hours of scrim time a week, and then I was doing at least the previous roster I was on had a mandate of 7 comp games a day, so at least that.
Okay. And where are you right now?
I'm doing 4 scrims a week, then 2 face it matches, and I play like comp like maybe 5 games a week, so it's a lot
Okay.
less.
So like an hour, 2 hours of ranked a week, four scrims a week, correct?
Yeah.
Okay, sounds good. So significant reduction in your play time, less than half of what it was before.
Mhm.
Okay. Um, and your goal is to do a little bit better than last time.
Yeah.
Not going to happen. Almost guaranteed not going to happen.
Mhm.
That is a remarkable reduction in play time, and it's important that you need to find value, and I know that you probably know this, but you need to find value from this besides that result, right? You need to find some sort of other external goal beyond that, or internal goal.
Mhm.
I'm not saying it's impossible. It's possible. It's just extremely unlikely with where you are now. Maybe your team situation is really, really, really good. I don't really know that full story, but from an individual standpoint, you're going to be a significantly worse player. Now, what we could do is we could make you the best player that you could be given the circumstances, and I think that's why you're here. The
Mhm.
other reason why I think this could be important as well is what are your long-term goals beyond Overwatch? You talked about teaching
Um,
as potentially.
yeah. So I want to be like a high school teacher. In
Okay.
high school, I had some like very very impactful teachers in my
Okay.
life that like changed who I am probably like
Perfect.
forever. And
Perfect.
I want to have that effect on people similarly.
Perfect. Perfect. Let's make the next few months then learn how to your own journey of improvement and being as efficient as you possibly can with your time. And how can you make that work? Because if you're going to be working in high school, you're going to be working with a lot of kids that are going to have similar like physical and mental limitations for different reasons, right? And you're going to have to be able to motivate them and tell them stories about how you were able to still set goals that even when you knew that you realistically couldn't reach where you wanted to go, you could still progress. And I think that that's kind of be where we're struggling through right now. Now, for what rank you are right now, where is that?
I've fallen back into Masters, so I think I'm Masters 1 right now.
Okay. And mostly BAP Curie at the time of the form. What is that looking like now?
Just mostly Kiri. I think both of the codes I see were BAP VODs. I don't play a lot of BAP, and we're playing it right now in the current meta.
Sure.
I'm
Okay.
kind of like I'm Kiri like minded, so
Okay.
I want to work on my BAP a good amount.
Okay. And I assume that the little bit of time that you spend in ranked mirrors what you try to do in scrims.
Yeah, I have like only hours on BAP this season. Yeah, I have
Okay.
5 hours on BAP and an hour and a half on Kiri.
Great.
So
Have you seen a medical professional about your carpal tunnel?
yes,
Okay.
yes.
What
So
were the recommendations?
it was to lay off largely. I like take some sort of medication. I wear a wrist brace,
Did
or
they
like some
recommend
sort of
any?
hand brace.
Did they recommend any sort of lifestyle changes, strengthening, stretches,
So I do
movement?
have like physical therapy check-ins. It's not like it was fairly intensive at the beginning. So it's like, oh, you do like this, and this every day, like these workouts for your
Okay.
hands. I have like these tools.
Who
Um,
prescribed that physical therapist? Was it the doctor that you went to?
it was the doctor I went to.
Okay. What are your thoughts? What was your experience like with the physical therapist? On a scale of one to
It
ten.
hurt. It was painful. I think it was like probably helpful. I didn't feel like immediate results, and it was a really large time commitment during my
Okay.
week.
How long?
It was I did 36 sessions.
Okay. Over how many weeks?
I think like 12 weeks.
And you didn't see anything after 12 weeks.
I didn't. I mean, I don't think I did.
Okay.
My doctor said it looks better or something like that, but
Okay. Were
I'm
you
just
also at the same time following the lifestyle recommendations given by
yes.
playing
So
less?
as soon as I got the diagnosis, well, it was a bit after I laid off
Okay. So you
largely.
were basically, I assume, what, 4 months since your diagnosis?
Yeah.
Okay. How's your progress? Now, what made you get the diagnosis in the first place? Was it, I assume, the significant hand pain?
It was pain, and then I should try to just like I like thug it out, and well, that didn't work. So
Okay.
I
How
went to the
does it
doctor.
feel in relation to that point now to where you are right now? Or that point then?
I can like go through my like day without pain. If I like go back to aim training, my hands just like crumble though. Like it hurts to like do more than what I'm doing now.
So would you say your situation is improved or has stayed the
Yeah,
same?
it's kind of hard to measure, but I think you could say it improved.
Okay. Okay. I would highly recommend you to continue your physical therapy on a much smaller scale. And I would also highly recommend you, this is my unofficial recommendation, but I've been through many, many things like this lifestyle, physical injury, things like this. You need to try the different physical therapists. Not all physical therapists are created alike.
Right.
I would highly recommend shopping around, trying it out, doing what they say, follow it perfectly, communicate with them very clearly what your goals are, what your recommendations are. And then if you don't like it, I ended up finding a physical therapist that really helped me a lot with my knee pain, but it took legitimately 7 or 8 physical therapists. A lot of physical therapists are kind of quacks. They'll say, like they're telling me a bunch of stuff that like they probably read from a manual back in 1976 that helps, geriatric people, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And that just wasn't me. And I was an athlete, and a lot of the times, like the advice that I got, it needed somebody that was also familiar with my situation. And you'd be surprised how few people were familiar with that. And I'm sure that's the same in your case as well. I'm not saying that they probably didn't help you. I'm sure that they did. I'm sure the recommendations of playing less is helpful. But taking medication and just playing less there's some lifestyle choices as well. But like I think that, again, non-medical professional here, but someone who's been in that circumstance before, I would recommend continuing your physical therapy just to a smaller scale and trying different physical therapists. That's my recommendation.
Okay.
Living your life with like the threat of that always being a problem is maybe something that you have to live with, but maybe not. And I would say that like 36 sessions is intense. And if you're not seeing significant improvement after that, then maybe it's just not it. Okay. Goals. I mean, we talked about your goals already. It is what it is. Let's maybe make you a productive collegiate player. Let's make you a productive ranked and scrim player for the amount of time that you're putting in. And we'll talk about that. So in terms of your schedule right now, what is your schedule right now? You said about 5 games a week, 4 scrims. How is that time structured? Is it a daily scrim? Is it 2 times?
We do Monday, Tuesday, Friday, and then we do a double block on the weekend. So on like Saturday or Sunday. It depends on one of my players' schedules, like for work.
Okay.
And then the rest is coaching. I double block coaching every other day.
Okay. And how has that been going?
We're doing really well.
Good.
We qualify for expert.
Okay.
We're like mid expert probably.
Okay. Excellent. Now you mentioned something earlier because this is an important part of the routine as well, which is warm up, and that you struggle immensely with mechanical warm up. With what are you warming up? What historically did you warm up with, and how did you approach it?
I used to warm up Kovacs. I did like voltaic, and then I had like a warm up code I did. Currently I'm doing like just like some Vaxa, and I'll like play quick play.
Okay. How's that been
What I'm
feeling?
at now. I don't. I'm like it kind of sucks because I'm like watching my mechanics like fade away. And so I think what I'm doing now is like I think a hybrid's kind of nice. I feel like I warmed up my voice a good amount doing that, like because I warm up with my team doing quick play.
Yep.
But like I don't think I get as mechanically warmed up as I was before.
Question: if you were to warm up with Vax and quick play, and then warm up with voltaic, would there be a difference in how your hands feel?
Yeah, voltaic hurts my hand. Or
Why?
doing like a voltaic.
Is it the
daily.
quantity or the aggression, or is it your mentality going into it tensing something in some direction?
I mean, I was really, I was like Jade and Voltaic, so like, I feel like my technique was like getting there, like it was pretty okay.
When I mean your
Uh,
technique, I'm saying that there's something physiological when you load into your voltaic as opposed to when you load into Vaxta. Do you understand what I'm saying?
I think it's probably quantity. Like I do like 15
Quantity.
minutes
Okay.
tops of extra.
Okay.
I
Okay.
like Voltaic ends up being like an hour and a half commitment. So
I see. I would encourage you to experiment. I would encourage you to experiment. I would try voltaic with 15 minutes for the next week, 2 weeks, and see how that affects your hands. See if you end up having any sort of symptoms like you did with Vaxa. And if you do, then that's interesting. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And if you don't, well, then that's pretty much confirms what you're saying. That's just the quantity. Something to consider. Okay. I would make sure as well, like when you're playing ranked. Well, how are you playing ranked right now? Is it just kind of like whenever, or is there a specific set?
I don't have it scheduled.
Okay.
I do work, and so it's like kind of around my work schedule. So
Okay, makes total sense. I would make as much as you possibly can. I would try to make those 5 to 6 games that you're getting weekly into 2 blocks if possible. So in other words, if you get 2 to 3, then another day 2 to 3, if you can, rather than one or 2 here and there, or all 5 at once. That would be my recommendation, if possible.
okay.
I would also, if you can, do those on days where you do not have scrimmages. That would be optimal. Okay.
Yeah, let's do it.
What do you feel holding you back from improving? Obviously playtime, but you say, I'm unsure. I do know I have frequent micro mistakes that snowball. My mechanics while not in standing have never been an issue for me. And if so, they would assert what my issue is would be an understanding, but that feels incomplete. Okay. During this VOD, if time permits, I'd like to discuss with you what you do outside of sitting and replay viewer to improve. I read, work out, and eat well, but with my goal starting fully by Overwatch this time, I want to maximize improvement. Is that still on your mind?
To a point. Past then you did like post like a reading list that you have.
Yep.
I've looked at that. I just bought Turn the Ship Around. Actually, it came yesterday from Thrift Books. That was nice.
Third books is great.
But I mean, it's my life's less surrounded by Overwatch. Like that time was I was really committed to being a player, and I kind of realized that's not gonna happen.
Sure.
Like
Sure.
to the same point, I do still do all those things. I'm a very healthy person.
Good. Good. Do you have a hobby?
I used to.
Okay. Something to consider. I have been I was nose to the grindstone without really much of a hobby for 4 years. Um, don't recommend it. Don't
Yeah.
recommend it. I let some of my relationships slip aside. Basically, all my relationships
Yeah.
besides my marriage.
Yeah.
Like my friends, my family. Never saw
Yeah.
them. Missed a lot of birthday parties. Missed a lot of this and that.
Yeah. I skipped my own graduation for a
Yep.
scrim.
Yep. Yep. And you do have to make those sacrifices to an extent. But as everything else, like I think the most important thing that you can learn if you want to be mature. How old are you?
19, almost 20.
Okay, if you want to be 25 years old with just a snap of your fingers, start to practice nuance. Start to practice moderation. That's the biggest thing that people your age and when I was that age lack. We're very tenacious in one way or the other. And start to find a little bit of nuance. Make time for your family, make time for your friends. Find something that you do that's just for fun. Now, you could choose to do something for fun, just for fun that you find productive. I loved reading, I love taking walks, and I love playing board games. I always felt good playing those things. It doesn't have to be, I'm just going to degenerate and watch a TV show, you know what I'm saying? Or I'm going to sit there and but I would say do something just for fun. Do something just to spend time with other people. Do not compromise those things more than you need to. Would be my strong recommendation, not just as a person, but as an Overwatch professional.
Yeah.
Highly recommend it. Okay. Yeah, okay. I don't really have any other questions from your forum. Do you have any other questions for me?
Um, so I do have a question.
Please.
Skill expression as a coach to me is limited to a point, and part of
Yes.
it is like
Yes.
speed of answer. Um, Sometimes I look at things, my players will ask me a question, and I'll say, I don't know, I'll look at it later. And I do look at it, and I generally find an answer,
Okay.
right? I was actually talking to Fi about this, Fi.
Yes.
Yeah, and I was thinking, I was like, the reason why I think people appreciate you so much is you're a very fast coach.
Yes.
Uh, I was wondering like how you got there. Was it just like time in over
Repetition.
time you just became faster, or is
Repetition.
it? Yep,
Repetition.
that's what
Yeah.
that's what I suspect.
But the good news is that you're wrong. You're wrong. That will be your sex appeal as a coach is your ability to respond quickly. I'm a very sexy
Yeah.
coach because I always have an answer, right? It's come with a lot of time. But it was not always that case. It was not always that way. And many times your quality as a coach is your ability to sit and think about things for a long periods of time and come up with your own answer. Your players will not respect you for that immediately, but they will respect you over time, and that will make you a much, much better coach.
Mhm.
Your ability to answer quickly is probably something that you're struggling with during your scrimmage coaching. Am I correct?
Yeah.
Okay. That's normal. But remember, your value as a scrimmage coach is significantly less than your impact outside of the game, whether it's review, preparation, answering questions, setting goals, or anything else. Scrum coaching is the least impactful aspect of coaching. The least impactful aspect of coaching. And you should not feel the need to always have an answer at the point of a gun.
Yeah,
Should be the
I
case.
mean, I don't. I'm very open about not knowing.
Well, and that's good. That's good. That's leadership right there, is admitting and being honest and then putting the time in to try and answer the question on your own time.
Mm.
Totally fine. I know it can be like feel frustrating to be like I can't answer it as quickly as I can, but that's normal, and I wasn't always this way.
Mm.
And I still was successful as a coach. So don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. As long as you're doing the research and putting the time in, you're good. Any other questions? That was a good one.
No, I'm good.
Okay. Gameplay?
Yep.
All right. Now, is this strictly for how can I maximize my quality of gameplay with the time that I have? Or is this also, I would like to learn some macro concepts, some micro concepts along the way?
I'm more interested in concepts. I want to hear your opinion.
Okay. Lovely. Which code do you want to
I
start
think
with?
you've the top one.
Okay.
Like I said,
Continue,
they're
sir.
both BAP codes. Like
Yep.
I generally speaking don't need you to go over two codes. I just thought having it there if you
Sure.
wanted was nice.
Continue. You were saying something about like the concepts.
Yeah, no, I'm more interested in learning your thoughts on this. I think every coach thinks about the game differently, and I really appreciate hearing other coaches' perspectives. I learn every time I talk to another coach. So
Awesome. Okay. So why particularly these codes? Just because it was BAP and recent, or is there a particular reason?
I think we lost both these maps. I think this scrim was fairly competitive. I think I was in a really good mental state this day.
Excellent.
I don't think I was playing maximum like as good as I could, but I think I never feel like that. So
Yeah, you really do. You really do. Okay, let's take a look.
We're going to be in trouble if that payload doesn't stop.
Okay. So, like min-maxing here, you need to understand the value of pressure and when and where you're going to be squeezing the most pressure. Like, for example, like right now, your Lucio is going to heal himself. He's not under any direct pressure. And by choosing to do something like this, and even the last shot on the Ramatra, you're choosing to not look for a sightline on the Sigma, or from the Brigitte, or on the Farah, or even just to generally scout their position so that you can make a decision accordingly. The biggest thing that you could be doing with Baptiste, if you look at some of the best Baptistes in the world, there's almost zero mistakes when it comes to weapon play. What are they shooting? What is the most value they can get by shooting? And if you were watching Landon play Baptiste, he would not be healing his Lucio right now, right? He'd be jumping, he'd be looking for an angle, looking for pressure on Sigma, looking for pressure on Farah, looking for information to get as much damage out as possible. Does that make sense?
yeah. So I have a question here.
Mm-hmm.
So first, we have Farah. My Farah is like
course.
primary scouting here. Like
Yep.
I'm not too worried about jumping, as well as I saw my Widow clicked heads. My Widow killed the Ash out of spawn room. I know she's almost back, and I want to rotate around left to create a better sight line. Do you still want me jumping here?
You don't need to jump. You need to find damage. If you want to rotate right now, then by all means rotate. Just don't heal.
Okay.
Either take action through shooting or take action by rotating. Excellent. See, frankly, like you're even turning around here looking for a target to heal. If you have to look this hard for somebody to heal and they're not crit, then you don't need to heal them. Like even this, it's pointless. You want to help your Farah out right now? You shoot the Ash. You get the angle. You waste the last 5-6 seconds. Either get the Ash or you pay attention to their rotations and put your attention on where do you need to be. So with the information that you have now, where do you need to be?
More rightward, like where I'm moving now towards the door.
Right, exactly. Either meet them here or back here, wait for your ram and push up from here. Basically, right now, what's happening is your brain power, you only have so much direct attention at any point in time. Your brain power right now is going to try to hit your Farah out of the sky and finding people behind you who you need to heal. Instead, you need to be using your brain power. Where are the enemies? Where do I need to be? That's a more efficient use of your mental resource right now.
Yeah.
Because of that resource, you're surprised by a rotation. Right, and exactly, you waste a cooldown. But that cooldown waste and this awkward position here is a result of you, A, being surprised, and B, not putting on enough pressure. And both of those consequences are the result of you putting attention on things that did not need your attention. Excellent. Excellent. Obviously a little front line heavy here, but you know, you're hitting the shots. Besides this here, that's a little silly, but beyond this, it's fine. Do you see how immediately your impact was crucial for this fight to feel as good as it did? Break that habit. Don't burst her. Either she needs the healing or she doesn't need the healing. It's not worth the burst. And please let me know if you have any questions. We're just kind of rolling with it.
Yeah.
I have no critiques of this fight. This was good. Besides that initial regenerative burst, no critiques. Your weapon play was good. Your cover usage was good. Your cooldown usage was good. Your awareness of where people were was good. And
No. Can't
that's
pull through in
okay.
the quad.
That's okay. That's okay. That's okay. That was more free value. Like that would have been impressive if you landed that one. Unfortunate. Just mechanical errors. Mechanical errors. Small mechanical errors. The window is the big one that's that really hurt. But beyond that, totally fine. The way that you're approaching these fights feels a lot more locked in. Okay, any questions so far?
No. No, I'm good.
Okay. If I have nothing to say, I have nothing to say.
Yeah.
Now, I want you to think about the situation here. Could you improve your positioning?
I think I could start a little bit more. I want to be able to get more input onto the front line refight. I'm not certain where I'd actually start if my tank's starting on low grounds. Honestly,
It seems odd for you to be here, given your Widow's angle. Do you see what I'm saying?
yeah.
It doesn't make sense for you to be this far back if your Widow is holding the position that she's holding. If your Widow is further back, then this would be a good position. So positioning is contextual. Never leave anybody else to dry. Now we can blame your Widow for that, unless you. But it's still food for thought. Reasonable. Okay. Very good. I like the transition to just damage when it's appropriate. Okay, no complaints. No, very little complaints. What things were you doing well, especially given how many critiques I had within the first few seconds, and then immediately pivoted in the different direction? What things pivoted specifically?
My specific like I played much more aggressive most of the time.
Okay.
I mean I think it's summed up well by just aggression and confidence.
Okay.
I
In
played
terms
I
of
played
aggression is in regards to what? What by what? What does aggression mean? Be specific.
I was being more proactive with my gunplay. I was being more
Sure.
proactive with my cooldowns. I had a proactive lamp.
Sure.
I think it was much more proactive.
I will put a different spin on it, okay? You were maximizing your value. You were maximizing your pressure.
I mean, like, how do you define plug support's value?
Okay,
Are
pressure.
you
Pressure. Your job is pressure. Your job is either to enable somebody else to pressure or to put out your own pressure. The problem with what was your initial pressure management early on is that you would heal your Ramatra for 40, 50 damage instead of putting 200 damage out on the enemy shield. It was a bad resource trade. And the problem was you'd turn around to heal a Lucio for 20 HP instead of putting 50, 60 damage on the enemy Brigitte or something like that. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It wasn't that the healing was bad and that you were more aggressive. It was that you were looking at the situation and be like, it is more valuable for me to be doing this percentage amount of damage than to heal right now. Now that in this situation, it was mostly damage. But in other situations, you might prioritize a little bit of chip damage on a shield instead of healing your tank. Or you could do both, right? And so that's the key thing. The reason I want to be specific is like, yes, you were behaving more aggressive, but you also prioritized healing when it was appropriate as well. You had a much better resource management discussion with your weapon play. Whereas before, it was a little bit too much healing on people that did not demand the resource. That and the regenerative burst stuff and trying to hit shots in the far end of the sky. Your attention was more on what do I need to be doing with my weapon? Where do I need to be? And it looked good. Any questions?
I think, I think something you missed is like I did poorly at playing my life, which is putting out pressure. I think my there's inherent value just by playing the game as support. Like, yeah, I could have had better place value right? But
Sure.
I think something was just like I didn't play my life hard enough. I think on like support. I think on support largely your job is to play your life. Like I have most sets on team.
Okay. Okay. Um, where did those deaths come from?
Um, first death was first death was I got overzealous. I thought my team was walking and I was calling to walk and we were waiting for form. Right, so there's this death.
Your overzealousness was this
Cut out for the trenches.
here.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's be specific. What can you do to prevent this from happening in the future?
Um, I see. I think this was a communication mistake, largely. Like I mean, I kill both supports. Nefara uses her booster. Her Sig has like low shield. I kind of want to walk in there, right? I just think in general, I think it's a communication issue. And then and so I'm like walking forward because I'm expecting my team to. And
Did you
so,
need
so
to push at this exact second?
I think we could. I think we're I didn't realize we was on, but I thought we were stable enough to go in, right? And so like generally speaking, like here I guess we're like stabilizing here, but I thought we were fine.
It looks like your Sigma is waiting until he builds a little bit of HP, and then he's going to walk forward with shield, right?
Yeah.
He doesn't have his Nemesis form yet. And so you say this is a miscommunication, and I agree, but I will offer you a little bit of advice. Regardless of what is you think should be communicated here, in no circumstances is it acceptable for you to be able to pushing in front of your tank by yourself.
Mm-hmm.
So given this here, you could be communicating push, 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 I want to push, but you still need verbal confirmation, not even verbal, but visual confirmation that people are moving forward. Like this is all we need to see in this freeze frame right here, right? Because if you continue to move forward here, this is the mistake.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's my main takeaway here. Please practice awareness of your teammates' positioning mid-fight when you're pushing and pulling, if that makes sense.
Do you think it was a reasonable push? I think we wanted to open here. I think it was reasonable to go in.
It was an totally unreasonable push considering you did it by yourself.
Yeah.
And that's it. The idea of the push, yeah, totally reasonable. But I also think it's totally reasonable for your Ramontra to be able to want to wait 1 or 2 seconds to regenerate HP before making this push here. These guys are not going to get away. You don't have to push right now. That's it. And so the person who makes the push outside of his or her position before they need to is the person who makes the mistake. And that person was you.
My ultimate is charging.
Does that make sense?
Yep.
You could push there. You just need visual confirmation. And if your team does not push there, you don't push there either. That's it. Okay. This one. What do you think?
I mean,
Part of it starts here, right?
Yeah. If I was just prime shoe, I win that. It's crazy. I mean, part of it is like.
Would this be acceptable if you were prime Shu? Do you think that Deepay would be happy with Shu?
Happy is a word. So okay. So the thought process here is like I see my shots from my far and I ask if she's with me. I hear a yes, which maybe is my fault that she dies, right? I think it's probably an unreasonable ask to chase this here. So like, look,
But you still could push. You still could push. Yeah. Noticing a pattern here between you and your tank? You noticing a pattern?
Yeah.
Look at the body language compared to him versus you. So once again, we're confronted with you feeding, but there was an opportunity there for you to be able, tank to be able to match your tempo, and he's not. This has to be fixed. If you want to talk about communication, you guys gotta get on the same page here. And you guys have to be willing to cave to each other, whether it's to back off, to hold off, or to push up. This is unacceptable.
Yeah.
The rule we used to make is we used to say whoever makes the call first, we have to follow. And then we can reevaluate the situation again later in VODs so that we can make the objectively right call. But in the moment, there isn't this time for conversation. You just have to trust each other. And right now, if you made this call and your Pharah trusted it and your Ram didn't and your Lucio didn't, that's a huge problem.
Yeah.
Okay.
So do you recommend that just like in a conversation or during like a VOD or?
Yes. Everything. During team, make it a goal. Yes.
Okay.
All the above.
So my question around that is like our kind of like set out standard is like silence is confirmation.
Sure.
Right. So
Works
so
for me.
like if I say can we go here and I hear nothing, I start going.
Yep. If that's the law, then you're more than welcome, to drop the guillotine on your tank.
Okay.
But at the same time, I want you to get in the habit of tracking awareness of where people are holding and adjusting your positioning accordingly. Now, in this moment, you probably did not have time for that awareness, but in the previous fight, there was really no reason for you to know you're on top of your tank and you walked in front of him. I mean, that should be enough visual confirmation for you to adjust your plan. Because the problem with that is you're going to start bringing that kind of stuff into ranked and just make assumptions constantly. And this is just, obviously, I don't know if you thought you had burst. I don't know if you didn't think you needed lamp. I don't know if you were trying to lamp the last possible second.
I didn't think she still had a sight line on me, honestly.
I mean, either way, this Lucio butchers you, so I think, like, regardless of the situation here. Yeah. Okay. So, let's keep going here. Oh my, we move quickly. All right. No complaints right now. And you notice that maybe some opportunities for a little bit of shield pressure, but for the most part, your attention has demanded full focus on healing, right? I don't have a lot of complaints about your pressure output because your pressure output has been to alleviate pressure on other people and to allow them to put out pressure. Make sense?
Yeah.
It's been fine. Now here you're on the shield because you can. Okay, continue to move. Your Widow is getting the cafe clip. Getting the cafe clip.
I mean, you have a top 10 Widow player on your team. You played around your Widow.
Oh, I agree.
I just have like prime ons up tier 3 on my team.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get freaky.
Now I want to point out something else as well. Somebody pulls an Eli, if I will say so myself here. You see it?
Yeah.
You weren't ready for this. Whose fault is this?
You could just say general. It could put it on, like place it in a couple of
it's a
directions.
shrug. I don't know. But this is something to consider, because I don't think you guys pushing here is unreasonable, given the fact that Cassidy and Lucio is dead. You could take this 3v3 or, frankly, 3v2 here. But there at least has to be some level of communication. And funnily enough, this also happens from the Pharah's perspective as well, right? Like, the Pharah's also pushed up as well, and, like, Rams on cart, that's fine. But, like, I don't think we were on the same page with what was happening here. The vast majority of miscommunications come from push-pull situations. Vast majority of communications comes from a misunderstanding of positioning. And now, not only does that lead to a difficulty with the Widow, but that also gets you killed too. And that ultimately completely kills the momentum that you guys had. Just one miscommunication. And the reason I'm putting this emphasis on you is not only is that biggest bang for your buck for figuring things out on your end as a Baptiste, but also as a coach. This is where you're going to get the biggest resource when it comes to value, because a lot of really stupid players will sit there and argue about what should have been the optimal play there, instead of developing a communicational system so that people can learn to stick with whatever's called. Because obviously, like the cornballs say, a stupid plan done by 5 people is a good plan. And obviously, it's tiresome,
Classic.
but it's true. But in many ways, it's true. And nor is it particularly clever. It's just duh, right? But we want the complicated answer instead of just saying, hey, you were by yourself, Widow. No complaints so far. I think you edged it a little bit with a lamp on the flux, but beyond that, no complaints. So what is your phrase? Silence is confirmation.
Yeah.
I mean, you're gonna have a lot of difficulties with y'all's composition at this corner here. I actually think the best thing that you could do is actually send your Widow into grapple left or grapple right whenever you go for a play like this. I'm not sure where she was, but yeah, not really concerned for you. Peak Shu would have hit those.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I think about that all the time. I'm like, Shu wins this game, and I just don't.
That's such a stupid mentality, frankly. I know
It
you're
is.
joking.
I know.
You're joking, but like you're on a downward spiral for mechanics. Like, you know what I'm saying? Or like you're gonna be at best plateauing. So like you're gonna have to learn to embrace your other skill set. And I think again, this is like a great moment for you considering your age, because I wasn't joking about like your age is like. It's like there's like full commit, balls to the wall. I am going to be that guy, right? But the problem is like when it's not that you become less of a guy the older you get. You just become more different things, right? You become much more dynamic with your skill set. Like you're multi-talented is the best way to putting it. Like you're not a one-trick pony. Like now you're coaching. Now you're thinking about teaching. Now you're lifting, and you're doing all these other skill sets. And I'm encouraging you to expand those even more, so that like. Would Peak Shu hit those? Yeah, but Peak Shu probably didn't even do his own laundry. You know what I'm saying? Peak Shu probably couldn't bench press, a bone. You get what I'm saying? Like, Peak Shu had so many more shortcomings than you did. It was probably a much less interesting person. Oh, you want to hear something funny? Peak Shu also didn't play a lot of ranked during the Overwatch League season. He's pretty famous for that. So just food for thought. I'm saying that like everybody has strengths and weaknesses, but as you get more dynamic and expand your skill set, hold yourself to a different standard. Otherwise, you'll be miserable. Oh my days, that move was violent.
That's actual criminal.
Tragic. I will say one thing that is pretty common from you. I don't want to overanalyze your team composition and focus mostly on you, but you guys have a lot of hubris with your posturing, given the old economy. Like, this is insane position for you guys to be, given the fact that they have beaten you guys don't. Like, High Noon is obviously like spooky here, but I'm actually way more concerned to be here. Like, you honestly, if they beat Engage here, there's literally nothing you can do to live with where you are right now. Just food for thought.
I think. Here, I'll ask this question here. The plan here is we know they have better ult eco, so we want to force a sig cooldown. We want to force a sig cooldown, like preferably hands, and so we can maybe get a sneaky barrage off and win the fight just off that. Just
so you're playing for chaos.
My opponents being fucking terrible. Yeah, like it's like if my opponents don't have hands, I win this fight. Is like the thought process.
Okay. So you're playing for chaos here. So then, if that's the setup, then where should your DPS be positioned for this chaos?
On adjacent positions. So our Widow should probably grapple up left.
Yes, so you guys are not set up for this one at all. And in addition for that, if you're forcing Sigma hands, who are the 2 people that need to be forcing Sigma hands?
And, myself and well, it can be more than two people.
It can't be
I think
more than two people.
I
I
think
would
I think you
say
can do a lot of things to force hands.
I think so too. But who are the two most safe people to force hands, given the fact that
Um,
they have beat engage?
my Far and my Widow probably reasonably.
Probably. In addition to that, I would say for here, you could put your Ram amp speed directly into Sigma on this corner and boop him out this
Yeah.
direction, right? I just don't like you here. You're the slow kid in this composition. Okay, so you can't move.
Yeah.
So I think any situation where you're looking to force a cooldown, I want you to not be part of it through proximity if possible.
Okay.
I want a deeper angle from your Widow. I like your Forest position a lot. I want your Ram playing super hyper aggressive loose in there because they could deal with that. Like they could. There's a world where your Lucio can live a beat engage. There's a world where your Ram can live a beat engage. I don't want you to be here. I would say for you, this is probably the position you want to hold here to force hands, where you can still contribute to the fight, you can still put shield pressure, you can still support, but that you're not in a position where you just completely get dump trucked, right?
Yeah.
Because again, I have to be very clear, like there's actually nothing that you can do here to live this if they play it well. Like it's physically not possible for you to live that. And that wasn't even a beat engage. It's a good trade. Peak Shoe wins this.
See, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, I agree.
Welcome to the limitless mechanical peak. I've worked with some great mechanical players in and outside of Overwatch League, and they are very unhappy people.
Yeah.
Because their entire identity is through like their hands, and man, hands are fickle.
Yeah.
Even at the highest level.
Like
the problem is-
gold big now.
Because the problem is nobody is peak Shoe, nobody is peak Ons. Even Ons isn't peak Ons. There were scrims where Sparker would dunk on Ons. Not many, but there were days where Ons had a really bad day, and Sparker's not even that good of a Widowmaker, like in comparison. He would just dunk on him, right? Everybody has those bad days, and like that's why, like again, I like Ons is a basket case, like all things considered. I feel really bad for the guy. You know what I'm saying? You don't want to be Ons. You don't. Not saying that like all mechanical players are psychopaths or like struggle immensely with mental health stuff. It's just saying that like when that becomes your identity, you start to like push more and more and more and more and more. And unfortunately, like especially with like mechanical stuff, it's extremely like physiological in many ways. It's psychological and physiological, but you can't always like make good decisions. Like you just have to like aim good, right? And that's a fickle master to work with.
Yeah.
Be smart. That's something that you can more consistently rely on. Make good decisions, build good habits. Probably didn't need that regenerative burst. Would have been more useful now.
Yeah.
Who's a good strategical flex support that you're aware of? Do you know of any?
Fielder. Fielder's really good.
Fielder, yeah.
I talked to Hutch. He goes to Blinn. I don't know if you know much about collegiate, but Blinn's top 10 collegiate.
Okay.
He's
I can tell. I can
really,
give
really
you. I can give you insight as well. Landon is super smart player too. Super smart player. Very very vocal. What I want you to do is pivot, not peak Shoe, but peak Landon wins those. Because Peak Landon knows where to position himself. Peak Landon played Ryan Bap, Mei Lucio, and did Nano Genji Winston comps and Tracer for 6 months. Dying to every primal rage. The guy had to adapt, right? So he was under the most immense strategical pressure ever, right? So Peak Landon wins those, is the phrase. Because Landon would have figured out a strategy to live.
Yeah.
Landon would have spaced himself well. Landon would never have been that close. Landon wouldn't have wasted burst. Landon would have known the corner for beat engage was there. Landon would have placed his lamp accurately. Yes, Landon is a mechanical freak, but Landon is also a wizard. You can always control your decisions. Good burst, good lamp. I have no idea what the frick your Cassidy was doing.
Would a one trick.
Oh, he got booped. Okay, never mind. He got booped. My bad. My bad.
Yeah.
I thought he rolled in. And I was about to
I didn't see the
call
boop by that. I thought you rolled into it.
Yeah. I mean, it's a good fight from you. It's a good fight from you. Good cooldown usage, good placement, good mechanics. Yeah, that's good. Let's keep going. You know, it's funny. There's some fights where we're going to critique some of the things that you do even though you win. You know, and vice versa, right? No critiques. You played well. You lost, but they used 2 ults. You guys did 0. Now, this one I am going to critique.
Fastest player in A.
This is what I am going to critique because...
You didn't scout this at all?
Well, it's not so much that you should have scouted it. It's that you should have expected it.
I mean, I think that it's hand in hand. If we expected it, then we were scouting it.
Right. And I'm going to be very clear. I'm not expecting this because it's a barrage. I'm expecting this regardless of whether they have barrage or not. Why? Look at the ult bank.
Yeah.
They have to. It's the same reason behind why you were trying to force hands earlier. Do you think the enemy team is just do you think they're just stupid? Do you think that they're going to try and win this fight?
Well,
4 ults, 5 ults to 0? 5 ults to 1? No, they're going to flank. Like, it's going to flank. Like, I'm actually surprised. Yeah, I was going to say, I'm surprised that Cassidy didn't flank, and he does. I would have committed. Like, in fact, that's why they lose. Like, they actually just screwed their far over so badly. Like, if this Cass is here, you're dead.
yeah.
You actually lose this fight if the Cassidy commits to this flank. Think about that, right? But yeah, anyway, long story short here is, like, again, Landon does not get surprised by this because Landon ult tracks ahead of time, and more importantly, Landon expects the chaos, right? They expect them to not fight honestly because they're not going to win honestly. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
It's fine, just probably didn't need all that, but
Yeah.
I would say committing 2 or 3 there is not the end of the world just to get the cap. This thing is miserable to retake.
So, I have a question.
Please.
I really try to mechanically push myself in scrims. Like, really hard. Like, I don't aim train anymore. I don't play as much comps. So I really dial in on mechanics.
I can see, yeah.
So do you think that's something I should just like not even like do to the point I am like I really do like think about mechanics a lot.
I would say there's nothing wrong with that. I would say there's only something wrong with that if that's all you emphasize.
No, it's not.
Right? So what I would do is maybe have scrim blocks or scrim maps where you put a lot of emphasis on your weapon play, like where you're putting your crosshair, your damage shield balance, and being precise. And then I'd also have maps or blocks where you do a lot of what we talked about the last couple of fights, where you make appropriate positioning and awareness decisions depending on the composition or the ult situation. Be strategic. Don't get surprised by a flank Pharah when you guys have 5 and they have 0. Don't get surprised by a beat push when you guys are at a beat disadvantage. Right? Don't be surprised that, like, oh no, I got my, I needed my lamp because they had so-and-so, right? Like, those are the strategic decisions. I think you can practice both. I just don't think you can do both at the same time.
Yeah. I think that's reasonable.
Right? And it's up to you to decide about which one you want to emphasize at any given point in time. You should alternate the skills. You should keep it fresh. Like, I'm critiquing this as if it's both a mechanical, like, weapon play map and a tracking map, so that we could find weaknesses with both to show that you can make micro improvements with both, right? But I would never try to fix all these things in one map, right? It's not going to happen, right? So just choose what you feel like is most impactful to work on and then roll with that. Now, this is another strategic situation. Because you know they have flux. You know that you're stuck. What should you do?
I want to get aggressive. I want to play with my cast. You're right. We want to try to force hands so I can ult, or force a sig cooldown at least so I can ult. It's really hard for me to ult this since they have flux though, and so I really need my tank to be posturing aggressive as well.
Okay.
Here we're too passive. My Pharah's by herself. My Wusa should probably be with her Pharah, and my cast is on payload. I think he should be a little bit more back, and I think I can be with him.
Sure. We can micromanage your positionings here. Even you finding like a rotation to a sight lane like this here, or rotating it to here. Like hey, chill. I'm gonna go for a flank window or a flank angle here, see what I can force. Like basically here, the rule is when you do not have space and you do not have an ult advantage, it is appropriate to try to take more angles and to play in a more chaotic fashion, because you're likely somebody's going to die for that split, but that's okay because this isn't going to work either, right?
Yeah.
So I think this is just basically where there needs to be some sort of a plan or a setup here, and I'm going to put more responsibility on you because number one, you're Mr. Coach, but number two, you also have an ultimate. You have a tool, right, that you should be looking to set up here, because this is the worst case scenario where you end up using nothing and losing to nothing, and time is off the clock.
Might want to focus on keeping the payload moving.
30 seconds remaining.
Oh, my far's the goat.
30 seconds
Yep. That's just crazy. That's
Well, hang on.
I'd probably do it for space. I think that's
I
probably
like this for space as long as we're taking space. Do you see the problem here?
Yeah.
Who's mispositioned here?
My tank, my
And?
far,
And your far.
It's
And maybe even Lucio too. Yeah, exactly. I like the back window, frankly. I think it's great. It just needs to be accompanied by action at the same time so that we take space appropriately.
I mean, I think my Lucy's position's like viable just because my far is there too. If my far wasn't there, I think it'd be stupid, but
Right. But there has to be some sort of action elsewhere, and all we got is a little bit of payload push.
yeah.
Right? Like right now, like we should basically the TLDR is that this BAP window should have enabled us to have already broken the Sigma shield. That's kind of the way to think about it, right? Because your RAM could have pushed forward, your FAR could have pushed forward. I think we could have forced burst and Sigma shield down. Maybe not hands, maybe not accretion, but that's kind of the way to think about it. You use an ult to get space. The space that allows you to do more damage and deny their cover. The more damage and denies their cover forces more CDs. Forcing those CDs means that they're not in a position to push you anymore. So the Sigma actually has to be a little bit careful even flexing, right? Or even BAP windowing, right? Like the BAP window, that might get his lamp forced instantly because we were here a little bit early and we forced his burst. You get what I'm saying? Instead of bursting now, he would have already used it. Like even this is like super feed with your cooldowns.
Yeah.
Unless it's accompanied by what action?
Aggression.
Aggression from anybody, preferably Pharah or Ramatra. But yes, aggression. But the problem is you didn't really get a lot of space. The only space that you got was Widowmaker. What's about to happen here?
Heroes make hero plays. That's all I'm gonna say. Heroes make hero plays.
I mean, I'm not gonna lie, it's pretty good. Like,
heroes make hero plays.
Listen, it was well timed, right? There's action elsewhere, so there's no punish. You timed your CDs really, really well. You force the attention, you force the resources. Lucio commits, and Lucio dies with beat.
Heroes make hero plays.
I guess so. And hey, you know what? Peak Shoe hits these. Because look what Peak Shoe just did. Wait for it. Bang!
I just know it's in me. I just know sometimes I am Peak Shoe and I go for it every time.
And he would have died without it. He would have died without it. Hey, listen, if the play is good, the play is good. You know? If the play is good, if it makes strategic sense, like then it's just a good play. That's all it is. You know, even if you don't like that's a Spylo classic, right? Like Spylo classic is to take a phenomenal flank, phenomenally timed, kill nobody, die, but we win the fight. That's the strat right there. Okay, let's take some notes here. Let's do some notes for specifically Baptiste, but I think you're going to notice that there's going to be some bleed into some general principles here. What do you need to work on from what we've seen?
Spacing, timing in relation to team.
Okay, so talk about
awareness,
spacing. Because spacing in regards to what? Be specific. No vague coaching phrases.
I mean, you can. It's kind of hard to say. I think you could say spacing in regard to opportunity. So, like, what is my team looking for? What's the opposing team looking for? Okay, so this is what the opposing team is looking for. This is the resources I have. Like, I need to be playing it in relation to the fight plan, which is an evaluation of resources turned into opportunity.
Oh gosh, you're gonna be something of a teacher. Let me wrap that bullet point for you in like caveman terms. What do you think?
Yeah.
Spacing in regards to enemy ults, friendly ults. That's it. You're right, But I want to encourage you as a player, as a coach, the simpler the better. Okay. And I'm very guilty of the opposite as well. I love my words, but the simpler the better. All right. What else?
I think timing in relation to opportunity, or how do we simplify this?
Timing.
To me, that is simple. I think that is
Give me
the
a
simple
situation. Give me a situation where your timing is off.
My timing was off first fight. My tank wanted to be more patient, which is like an acceptable, it's an acceptable like way to play that fight, right? And I wanted to be more aggressive, right? So timing in regards to my team, I guess you could say.
That's it. Right. There has to be some sort of a communication line between you and the tank. Vice versa. Even like the BAP window at the end there, I put there, your team just was not in a position, nor did they actually take space off of it.
Yeah.
It's a problem. You need to push. You need to push sideways sometimes even. Spread the map. Make it so that it's impossible that they are the ones walking through the choke, despite being the defender's advantage. What else?
In Intuitive reactivity. That's what I'm saying, and I'm gonna explain this. The fight where the Pharah came behind us, like on second point, the last fight on second point. I should have oh, this is what the opponents have. I think reasonably this is what they're gonna do.
Oh, I'm gonna make this so much easier for you.
Right.
Go back to spacing. What does spacing say?
So in regards to enemy wheels.
I know it's a little bit different, but do you understand where we can utilize that? So,
Yeah.
Prediction. Don't be surprised when the enemy uses ults. Or how about this one? When the enemy has a plan, predict the plan in downtime.
Intuitive reactivity and prediction. Prediction does sound much more simple. Yeah.
Intuitive reactivity. Son of a gun, man. All right, what else? How about practicing individual skills, right? Practice mechanics, practice intuitive reactivity, and situational, spatial awareness, mechanical control.
Yeah.
or positioning, as we like to call it. Anything else?
I think that's reasonable.
I think that's reasonable as well. I think your CD usage for the most part was okay. I think your mechanics for the most part were okay. I know that pains you to say that your mechanics weren't too bad, but yeah, it is what it is. Do you have any questions?
How do I? Okay, so if I I it's realistic for me as a player that my future past collegiate is over as a player.
Yep.
How do I reassess my goals and how do I replace the goal points for myself moving forward? How do you propose attacking that issue?
So best way of looking at it is finding the ceiling, the reasonable ceiling, and then finding something worth doing under that ceiling. So let me give you a good example. Let's say that you were aiming to be a professional athlete. You had an injury, you got busy, you couldn't spend the same amount of time. In fact, the amount of time you could spend training and competing was half. So you go, okay, this is pretty much as good as I'm going to get right now. What would be the most fun and satisfying goal that I can find with the amount of time? And you might be like, oh, a rec club or a travel club or playing strictly casually and doing the aspects of training that I enjoy the most. For you, you're not going to reach top 32 likely, but top 50 is most likely. But then you need to reevaluate, is OWCS even something that I freaking love all that much? Is grinding rank even something that I enjoy all that much? Maybe I liked ranked more. Maybe I like playing in a team environment more. Maybe I could devote myself to preparing for the collegiate team that I'm going to be going with. Because the way that you're playing right now, most for lack of a better term, D2 collegiate teams, 4 scrims a week is pretty good. Like you're competing at like a pretty decent collegiate level, right? Not like Redbirds, right? Obviously, but like you're competing at a higher level compared to most collegiate teams. So what would be a very satisfying thing for you would be to compete at a LAN, doing well at a LAN. You know what I'm saying?
I mean,
So, you know,
yeah.
so it's like for you, it's like you know what your limitations are approximately mechanically and skill wise, somewhere like the low GM level. Okay, so then what's the most satisfying thing in Overwatch that you can get out of from the low GM level? And I don't know the answer to that.
Yeah, I'm not asking you for an answer.
Yeah, of course,
Um,
but that's the way I would approach it.
okay, a lot of the players on my team, they're a little bit younger, like they're like 17. They're
Yep.
just now like able to qualify and such. Their goals in Overwatch are still like be professional or like
Yes.
you know
Yes.
hit higher goals than I'll be able to achieve as a player. At what point do I decide this team is beyond me? What point do I decide this team is beyond them? Um, when should I reassess this?
I think for them, that would need to be a case by case basis, maybe a conversation that you need to be having with them. But I think that's honestly kind of their call. You can kind of encourage them if you think that there's like a 4.5K freak, then, you know, whatever, 4.6K freak, then fine. But I would say for you, it's time to move on when you feel like you're the worst player in the lobby consistently.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you'll get there. I don't know if you'll get there. What tier was this, or what level was this scrimmage?
Well, expert.
Okay, and like what was the SR?
That's 4-5.
4.5?
Yeah.
You look competitive. You look competitive. Now you're gonna have to put more thought into your brain, but you look competitive.
Yeah.
You look competitive. I would say until you feel totally out of place, keep going, keep going, keep going. You don't have to, take yourself to the glue factory just yet. Okay, just let it go. See what happens.
What level of time commitment can I commit to mechanics? I like five. Like I said, Unify.
Yep.
He aimbots me every once in a while when I ask. Like him and I, he used to be on this roster. He just coaches now. Um, we're good friends, and he does that for me. Should I like taper off on that? Should I continue to do like aimbot? Should I continue to like maybe start experimenting with Voltaic again? Like do
What's
you recommend?
comfortable and what's convenient and enjoyable for you, and then find the balance there. I recommend you continue to experiment. Is what I always recommend. Experiment, find what's best.
Do you think it's reasonable for me to still like be committing that time? Is kind of what I'm asking more.
Yeah, as long if it's comfortable. Yeah,
Right?
like you're dealing with a physiological ailment here. I'm not saying that you're going to be cured, but who knows? Figure it out.
Yeah.
Find a new physical therapist, adjust how you're aim training, find out if it's voltaic or if it's the time amount spent. I mean, you've barely scratched the surface here, right?
Yeah.
But you're basically like somebody who has an ACL problem who just decides that, oh, it's time to retire. Maybe not. Give it some thought.
Yeah.
Give it some experimentation. See what you can do. I don't know anything about carpal tunnel syndrome. I assume you do. Learn more.
Well, yeah.
Learn more. There's a lot of learning resources out there, and I think we're at a point in time right now especially with health, science, fitness. We're at there's a lot of new information coming out right now. So educate yourself. Educate yourself.
So a lot of work I do so on this team I'm like the quote unquote team captain, right? A lot of responsibility falls to me, which is fine, right? I don't have like a place of power over the roster, and I'm not asking for that. I think that would be unreasonable for a team captain that's playing on the team.
Yeah, agreed.
I don't think that's reasonable at all.
I agree.
So we, at this level, like a lot of coaches, it's more transactional than it is cooperative, where they're there, they show up, they get their whatever, like $30 an hour, and then they leave, and so, like that's their input into the team. What I appreciate more and what I do more as a coach is I like really working with a team, building up an environment, like creating like a culture, and committing time to helping the people actually become good teammates and good players.
Yes.
right? I look for myself in a coach frequently, right? I kind of want that in a coach as well because I think that's what's best. That's kind of what I've assessed as best. Like, do you, uh, but like getting a coach for the team is like kind of off the table currently, like just financially. Um, how do I, as a team captain, kind of provide that like same thing, just in a different level of responsibility?
Culture. Your coach develops culture at least 50% by setting an example, not just enforcing things. That
Hmm.
percentage that is set by setting an example is something that you can control as a player, being part of the team, even if you can't control things like you can being only a team captain.
Yeah,
In fact, the opposite is true as well, where there are some things as a coach that you cannot develop within a culture. You just have to have people like yourself that are serious, respectful, and supportive. Christopher's success with London Spitfire would not have been possible without Hadi in that team, right?
yeah,
And my success with a lot of the contenders teams, I would not have been successful with those players filling roles, being supportive, being leaders within the team. A good coach needs good leaders. And so if you don't have the coach, your job as a team captain is still remarkably important.
yeah.
You'll have limitations here and there, but you'll also cover some niches that the coach itself wouldn't be able to.
Mm. How do you I feel like part of what I on the roster I'm on right now is there's not really a lot of play outside of Scrim.
Yep.
I kind of detest Scrim logging. I think having time out is really really important, especially as a team. I think you need to play on a team, just to play on a team and have
Yep.
like, team in time
Yep.
to work. And
Yep.
this team currently doesn't. That's a challenge. I struggled with. I On the team I coach, the way I assess that problem and solved it is I kind of set like an hour of warm up, right, where I'm not there, and they do it as a team. They just like play for an hour together, and it's before scrims. And so like, oh yes, it kind of serves as a warm up, but it's more they get time together where
Yeah.
I'm not there, and it
Sure.
feels like I almost hold like a different role on the team, like because on the team coach I don't have a team captain. I don't say, oh, this is your thing. It's kind of like a just kind of personality. It's based off like I have two players who are very leader oriented people,
Mm-hmm.
um, and that team environment works really well, right? But I think a lot of it feels really really hard to build when people don't like talk to me the same as they do their other teammates because they like kind of see me as a leader. I try not to present myself in that way. I try to keep myself more human. I try to talk about the problems that I see and be like this felt bad today. Like the way we're talking to us felt bad here, but it kind of feels like really hard to make a team environment around that.
Yeah.
Do you have any recommendations on that?
Just set expectations clearly for the people that you feel like are filling roles. You can't force those roles in organically, but once you feel like people are starting to fill in those roles of being more vocal, making sure that you assign responsibilities and expectations, and also, I'm trying to think of the best way of putting this. I lost my train of thought. Feel like you're creating an opportunity when players do speak up and have opinions and are trying to share their own thoughts that you don't squelch it. Make sure that you're allowing them to provide their own input and feedback and constantly check with them and reevaluate, encourage them and push them to continue to do so. I know like you're in an awkward situation where you're not exactly like some old boomer like me,
Yeah.
but you develop that respect over time once you prove to them over and over and over again that, hey, your opinion does matter and I need your opinion and your opinion impacts how we play this game. And if you can prove that to them, then they're going to be more willing to open up. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Imagine if a parent asked you, hey, how do you think we're doing at parenting you right now? Like is anything that you think is unfair, the way that we're approaching things? That's a huge opportunity. But then if that parent then turns around and like snaps when you give criticism, you'll never open up to them ever again. Don't be that guy. Create them opportunities where they can give you feedback, ask for feedback, pressure them to provide input. And then once you find people, like I said, who do so consistently, then make it official. Set the expectations clear. This is okay. Well, this is what we need you to do. Delegate when and wherever you can. Set the standards hold people to those standards and so on. It's awkward. The only thing that's awkward is you have to be, you just understand that you have a little bit, set your expectations to be realistic, right? You're not working with an Overwatch League team here. But I do think that you can at least be like, all right, within the amount of time that we're playing, with how often we scrimmage and how serious we are, these seem like reasonable expectations for the effort that we're putting in.
Yeah.
Any other questions?
No, I think I'm good. I think that's all I have.
Okay. Keep me updated with how practice goes, all right?